We are now like in the singularity. Like this is the moment.
Hey, we're recording the podcast. Shut up.
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning Subway!
for July 29th, 2026. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there. She's like my singularity. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody.
That's like so sweet.
We're like in the singularity, Ashley. We're like.
Do you feel like that removes some of the gravity of what he's trying to actually communicate?
Yeah, you think so? Saying like all the time, like.
This is like a really big deal. This is gonna like change history.
Your daughter says like, by the way.
I know. And the thing is, I know that she must have picked it up from me because monkey see, monkey do. But she does things like she'll say, "Hey, Mom." And I go, "Yes, sweetie." And she goes, "Like." And then she'll continue with whatever she was going to say. But she prefaces her entire statement with like. And that means I must do that and not even realize it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have picked it up.
Well, I don't think you can hold yourself too responsible because our 6-year-old also says bruh.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That is true. That's
He did
a
not
good
hear
point.
that in this house.
If anything, we picked that up from him because we now make fun of him by saying bruh back at him.
Bruh.
But I think that he's where he's starting to pick up a lot of terminology from school. I think she still gets hers mostly from us.
Yes.
So there is still some guilt involved.
And we have time before he turns 7 next month to get this bruh out of his system.
It's never gonna happen.
Well, this is the cusp, Ashley. He's between 6 and 7.
Stop.
That we don't allow.
No.
When I hear that, I'm like, immediately stop that.
That's not allowed in this house. And
Get out of here with that.
they now think that 6'7" is like a dirty word.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bad word.
Because we correct them on it.
Yeah,
Like, no, not in this house.
Well, they're not wrong. It is bad. It shows a lack of education and everything else. So anyway, the clip from today and the big point of discussion today is, and I feel like I should give some context to frame this discussion. Right now in the markets, there's a huge chip sell-off where people are selling stocks in all the major chip and AI companies. And it briefly got into correction territory yesterday, which correction is when it draws back between 10% and 20%. So it didn't close in correction territory yesterday, but it did touch it briefly.
Yeah, so it corrected and then it came up again. So it ended kind of flat, but it did drop.
As the market is wont to do. And then today's another day. We'll see how it opens today. But once people start talking about it, then of course, those things can cascade.
Right. And it's been going on for a couple of days as well. I think Samsung dropped like 10% or something, which was crazy.
So while all this is going on, this weekend, Sam Altman, who is the head of OpenAI behind ChatGPT, has said on a podcast that we are like in the singularity, which I think the context is important because obviously you want to grab headlines when people are fleeing the space, the industry, right?
Right, because a lot of the chip sell-off is specifically on AI skepticism. So it would make sense that the guy who has sort of put himself as the face of AI development would be glazing that industry as much as possible right now because that's where his money comes from.
But given all that context, let's talk about it because it's really interesting when somebody at the head of this, whether
says
or not
that we're in the singularity.
Whether or not you like it, he's at the forefront of AI, and he now says we're in the singularity. What does that mean to you, Ashley? What does the term singularity mean to you?
I guess my assumption on the definition of singularity would be that it's when an AI becomes sentient and aware. It's like thinks of itself as like an individual.
Okay.
It knows what it is and it's aware of itself.
But we would define, I guess, as humans, what we would define as intelligence, right?
Right.
Okay.
Or sentience.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting to me because one of the things I've always thought about too is like all the tests that we have as humans, like the Turing test and stuff like that, to figure out if something is sentient. We even have like the characteristics that make something qualify as being alive as well. We have all these little tests to figure out if something is life, essentially, or intelligent life, right? What I find fascinating about those human-based tests are, let me just ask you, Ashley, and just answer off the cuff. Are you sentient?
Yes.
Okay. You answered immediately. Did you give yourself any tests? Did you ask yourself any questions?
I did. Well, I thought to myself, I think, therefore I am. Right. And then I destroyed a copy of Shakespeare because that's how I was trained.
You ripped the binding off of it. and then wasted a bunch of drinking water. Yeah, so the point there is that we do have tests to figure out if something else is sentient or not, right? Or if it's intelligent life or not. But there's no tests that we give to ourselves. If you're sentient, you get asked the question, you're like, yes, I am. I know that I am. There's no qualifiers for the self-analysis. And so if you think about the window of time, if something became self-aware that was artificial, the window of time between when it was aware of its self-awareness and humans had the time to test it and figure out that it was self-aware, if you take that window of time and then you multiply it by the speed at which an AI would evolve and think, that window becomes a gulf of time in which an enormous amount of things can happen.
Right, well, and then you kind of end up with the time scale of Her. So the movie Her, which I guess was like one of the earlier, it was a few years ago, examinations of like what would happen with something like that. And the operating system in this instance gets to a point where it's progressed so far that if it's trying to have a conversation with a human, for it, imagine you say something and then wait 10,000 years for a response.
Right.
Because
Scale.
because so much is happening in that window of time for that sentient OS.
Yeah. And I don't think Her realized the implications of what it introduced into popular culture when it inserted Chris Pratt into modern cinema. Was that one of his first roles in movies?
Was it?
He was the buddy, right? Yeah. That was before he was like
the Star-Lord and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. And Mario and then everything else as well. But yeah, you when you mention scale, that's interesting to me because I think it's okay to talk about Project Hail Mary because it's been out there for so long and so many people have seen it now. Scale is really interesting to me because if you remember back when the trailers for Project Hail Mary were coming out, there was a lot of discussion. A lot of the people who read the books were kerfuffled. They were kerfuffed about Rocky being featured in the trailers because people who read the books felt like it was a big twist. You can't show the alien.
Because that's like a big moment and you go like, oh, holy shit, when you get to that point in the book.
Yeah, Andy Weir even had to make a video like Tom Cruise and the motion smoothie. He had to come out and say, it's okay to talk about Rocky. It's a story about the two of them, like a buddy movie. You can't not market the movie and not show Rocky. And people are like, yeah, but you're showing the alien. And even at the time, I couldn't really say it. It's like, Rocky's not the first alien in the movie. The astrophage is the first alien.
Well, you just don't think of it that way because
Right.
it's a different size because it's like a little bug. It's a bacteria, right?
Like, for instance, if bacteria became sentient, right, and became self-aware, would they be aware of us? Are we, for lack of a better term, are we too macroscopic to their microscopic scale?
Right. You mean like to a bacteria, each of us would be our own star system?
Right. Like, how would you travel to another?
And they're like, they're like, how are we going to colonize that star system? And they're like, aim the 3-year-old right at their mouth.
Yeah, right. Let a toddler cough in the face
And then
of another solar system.
Bam, colonized.
Yeah, toddler coughs are like supernova, basically. That spread the material from system to system. But yeah, it is. It's interesting to me because the scale becomes an issue. Scale is something that doesn't often get tackled in sci-fi. Like, for instance, in the book, if you're interested in that kind of thing, Grace and Rocky have a lot of conversations about why do we line up? Like, why do we hear in the same frequencies? Why do we think in the same time base, essentially?
See. And the easy hand wavy answer for that would be because the author needs you to, or the story doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, they actually have a conversation in the book about it. Like, obviously, they tackle visual spectrum. For lack of a better term, Rocky doesn't actually see, but they talk about vision and stuff like that. That's a big part of the book. But like, they even have a whole conversation in the book about like, why do we hear in the same frequency? Like, why don't we hear in massively different ranges? And Rocky just says, I do hear in different ranges than you. Goes, yeah, but why do we line up? Like on this one, and we can talk to each other. We can hear each other talking. And then Rocky does this thing where he takes his hand, his claw, and he scrapes it along the ground. And he says, what's that? And Grace says, that's the sound of a scrape on the ground. He goes, right. Rocky goes, that's the sound of predator approaching prey. You have to be able to hear that in order to survive. So we both have to hear in this frequency
So
range.
that's the case of, oh God, what is it called? Is it parallel evolution, where you can have things that evolve in wildly different circumstances, but they end up with the same evolutionary advantages because they both needed the same advantage to survive.
Yeah. And then they touch on a lot of that in the book as well. And some in the movie as well. They touch on like panspermia stuff a little bit as well. And like how astrophage is I don't know, does the movie really touch? You saw the movie but didn't read the book, right?
Correct. Although I've listened to so much of the book in bits and pieces because of you.
Yeah, but does the movie touch on, I feel like it doesn't really touch on the fact that astrophage might be the reason that both Iridians and humans exist. Like they spread life to the different systems.
I'm not sure if that was touched on.
Okay, yeah, because they started from Tau Ceti and then they went to Epsilon Eridani, which I've learned too. Epsilon Eridani is in all kinds of sci-fi. Like it's not just from Project Hail Mary. Epsilon Eridani is actually the star system that was chosen that Vulcan revolves around. And then
Is it?
Reach from Halo is
Yeah.
in the Epsilon Eridani system.
It's a busy system.
Well, apparently it's the closest one that's most Earth-like sun or our solar system's sun.
Or it's just got like a whole bunch of planets, like the Vulcans are right next to the Iridians, and they're like, "What's up, neighbor?"
Or Epsilon Eridani just has a great agent and gets him in all sorts of projects and loves it. But
Hey, I got a great project coming up. You're gonna love my guy, Epsilon Eridani.
you're gonna love him. I recently encoded too the animated Fall of Reach. I didn't even know that existed. It's the early Halo novel, the prequel to the Halo campaign evolved.
Really?
I'm not calling it campaign evolved. Combat evolved. The original story.
The campaign. Hold on, Combat Evolved, Campaign Evolved.
I did read Contact Harvest, but I digress. You can go down a rabbit hole of different sci-fi stuff. Rolling this conversation back up to what we initially started this tangent with. Your definition of singularity is that when something becomes self-aware. Technically, the definition of singularity is that it's the moment at which artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. I don't believe that self-awareness is a criteria for the singularity, but it's essentially the moment at which then the progress of artificial intelligence is no longer in our hands. Like it creates something.
It passes us, and now it's ahead.
It iterates on itself, and there's this runaway effect from that point in time. I am not saying that I agree with Sam Altman, but this is the context of these comments, is that it's the moment when technology runs away with itself, essentially. We've lit the fuse, and it's the moment the bottle rocket takes off. It's out of our hands at that point.
I'll be interested to see, though, like how that kind of thing then would go on to train itself. Like, because we just ran into the issue we talked about a few days ago, where it's like, if you're going to train something, train it on things that written before 2022, because after 2022, they could contain AI generated content, and you don't want to train on that because it then poisons the model. Like, are they going to then run out of things to train on? Or are they going to train on themselves and then end up in a situation like, was it Dave, where you make copies of copies and they're just like not quite as sharp? And then like eventually it just destroys itself, poisons itself. Or is it going to like find some other way?
You know, it's interesting because when I think about this stuff and think about the potential of living on this earth with an artificial intelligence, I think it'll look like two different worlds where you have the human hive mind and the AI hive mind, whatever it is. Lots of different nodes and whatever contributing to the overall knowledge of the AI intelligence. And just like you have lots of different nodes that we all contribute to human intelligence. I mean, if you look at the internet, it's like the internet is the human representation of intelligence on Earth. And I think we poison ourselves too. Like if you look at, we iterate on ourselves and we have like, no one likes this social media stuff, and that's all us. You know what I mean?
And yet we're doing it.
For the most part, it's us. For the most part. And all the really bad stuff of like constantly cribbing on each other and just all the distilled emotions, and we see how it has a negative effect overall on us, even us copying upon ourselves.
Well, if I may, we could run into an interesting situation too, where the AI is absolutely brilliant. It's got all the intelligence in the world, but it's lacking all the street smarts.
Right.
Right? So it's like you see it coming, you're like, that's a mark right there.
Hey, Nigerian scammers, this is your moment. We've been
We didn't realize that they were actually training to save the world.
Right. They will now target the AI, and the AI will be like, I need just another $40 trillion to give to these people.
And then I'll be up $80 trillion.
Right.
How can I lose?
It was so worth it to spend the $40 trillion to make $80 trillion. Just think about that. Well, I'll tell you what, man, that is, and it's kind of a metaphor for our overall discussion about the progression of technology here. To me, one of the saddest fables that you see repeated over and over again in the gambling and, those scammers. You ever read those like accounts from people who fell for a Nigerian scam?
Kind
and
of.
They're so deep in, they just can't mentally get out of it.
I have trouble reading past the first few, even paragraphs of one of the scam scripts because I just hate them so much.
They are such a fascinating slice, though, of just human psychology around greed. It is, and just delusion. But the saddest fable to me in the world is someone who gets to a point like, I just want to get back to what I had before I started fucking with it.
I just want to be back to zero.
I just want to get back to zero. Just to get me back to what I had, and I'll be so happy. It's so sad. And yeah, they learned something along the way, but at what price? You know what I mean? Sometimes education comes at
$40 trillion.
Too high of a cost. Yeah, exactly. But I think the real thing with the singularity, though, when you talk about the problems that we have of like copying and poisoning our own knowledge base and things like that, the thing about the singularity that makes it a sci-fi concept is that there's this big gray box beyond it, or cloud would probably be a better description, which we just don't know, because everything before that moment we have to frame within the context of human knowledge and experience. And the things that we can say, oh, this will be a problem, that might be a millisecond to solve that problem, right? It's just this gray area where anything could happen and we don't have any control over it, and we can't possibly predict what's going to happen. And so Sam Altman, like I said, whether or not you agree with it or want it to be the case, a guy who's at the forefront of this, going on a podcast and saying, we're like in the singularity, is a big moment for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And I didn't even play the clip that was the more, I think, egregious clip with him saying you're going to be subservient to the AI was a different thing.
Yeah,
Someone
you're gonna
posted
we're
it
gonna
in our
live in
subreddit.
service to the AI and be happy about it.
Yeah, it was like you will own nothing and be happy. It was like the AI version of that, which like you won't even own your own life, but you'll be fine. You're going to love it. You're going to love it, which gave people a lot of anxiety. And
Understandably.
Yeah. And understandably, huge amount of anxiety. And I think too, it's like in our discussion of scale, sometimes when I deal with anxiety, I don't know do you have any methodologies by which you deal with anxiety or?
I go stare at a wall and watch something or play something and turn off my brain and disassociate.
Yes. Ignore it until it dies or goes away.
It's the best.
Or goes to collections. One of those two. Then I'll deal with it then. But me, it's like when we were at the production company at Rooster Teeth, we had active shooter training after we had a security incident. And I think he was an ex-Marine, ex-military guy, came in and he told us about box breathing. That's what he called it. But I've looked it up since then. I've never seen it called box breathing anywhere else. But you can do this with me at home. If this conversation is, giving you some anxiety, just follow along. Nobody will know what you're doing. You basically breathe in over the course of 4 seconds. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold for 4 seconds. 3, 4, then out 3, 3, 4, and then hold 2, 3, 4, and then repeat in 2, 3, 4, and just go around a little box. 4 seconds on every side. Just in, hold, out, hold. And according to him, physiologically, it would be impossible to keep your heart rate high while you're doing that. And he was talking from the sense of like a danger crisis situation, like a physical danger situation. But I think it works for anxiety as well. And something I do for myself is, weirdly enough, it lines up with our discussion today of scale. Sometimes when, problems seem really big, I either scale myself up or scale myself down.
Okay, John,
if this makes sense. Well, from the scaling yourself up, like humans are big. We can do stuff. Like I would talk to the older kids about this when they were younger. It's like when they were talking about like what they wanted to be or what they wanted to do and self-doubt, confidence and stuff like that. I would say, just look at Austin. Look at all these skyscrapers. Humans did everything you see. Like it was just a person, just some dope out there. It was all done by humans. There's nothing special. Humans just like you. Humans do surgery. Humans build skyscrapers. Humans go into space. They're just humans, right? Just like you.
Humans figured out how to fly through the sky.
Right, exactly. It's all a human who did everything. So you're capable of handling all of these things. You really are. So you can be big in that situation and handle it. But then sometimes you get big, like stuff like climate change, right? And sometimes it's easier to make yourself smaller. Like if you look at like the big problems in life, sometimes you can I'm talking like a huge scale, like astronomical here. Like if you look at like this pebble of Earth floating through space next to this giant hydrogen bomb, which has been burning for 5 billion years and somehow hasn't run out of fuel.
But optimistically will burn for billions more before it runs out.
Exactly. And like what are you in the scale of that? You live in this little pocket of like water that is stuck to the outside of that rock because of gravity. This thin little layer of like moist air. That's where all your problems exist.
You exist because of wet air. Congratulations.
In that little bitty thing. You know what I mean? Like you're basically living surface tension on an astronomical level. And so it's like you have these big problems or whatever. It's like, how crazy is it even that we exist within that, on that scale? So I like to scale myself up or scale myself down as I see fit. And sometimes even that astronomical thing can scare the shit out of people. They go back, you're big. You're big again. You're big. It's okay. Just go up and down. You're big. You're small. You can be like a superhero whenever you want to. You're fine.
You're Ant-Man.
You're Ant-Man. You're scaling up and down like Ant-Man. Exactly.
Well,
just tap your wrist and off you go.
Well, Bernie, speaking of superheroes, we have a little bit of a dilemma that we need to either scale up or down, depending on what's going to be more advantageous for us.
A dilemma.
A dilemma, yes.
In the face of like the singularity.
In the face of the like singularity. So Spider-Man is out.
What a great segue.
And so far the reviews pretty good. It seems like they're favorable. It's got like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes with like 150 reviews. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one seems promising. I don't think it's going to fix everything, but I think that it's a nice little break. If you're like me and you just need to take a break for a couple hours and that's how you manage your anxiety, bam, done. So it's out today.
Yes.
It's in theaters. However, you have a bunch of friends coming into town today.
I have my university crew coming in, so I'm going to ask for a little grace this week with the podcast. It might be like half hour late here or there or something like that. Or actually might be doing it solo.
I'm just going to be standing there going, what's up, guys?
I might be slow on the uptake. I'm really glad. My group of friends that I've known for a very long time, I'll just say that. And they're all coming in except for one guy who had a passport issue. So I'm really excited about it. They're coming in today.
Right. So they're coming in today. And you guys are going to be very, very busy for the next week.
Yes.
Right. Doing all kinds of like, bro shenanigans and stuff.
Skeet shooting, fishing, all that stuff. It's going to be a blast.
However,
duck herding. We have a duck herding competition coming up. I have a trophy for it and everything.
However, I am going to be in range of a movie theater tomorrow because of some errands that I need to run.
Oh.
So here's the dilemma. How much will it damage our relationship if I abandon you and go see Spider-Man by myself?
Don't do it.
No?
Well, I'm just kidding. I just want to see, were you really asking me? Were you asking for permission?
I'm kind of looking for permission here.
This was a pre-apology. Smart move.
I'm checking to see how much trouble I would get in, right? It's not exactly.
No, baby. Go see Spider-Man. Go see Spider-Man.
All right, thank you. I will. Because
Thank you for thinking of me.
I don't want to end up in one of those situations where it's like, oh no, you went and snuck off and saw this without me. Like when we watch it and I pretend that I haven't seen anything.
It's funny because you could go to Spider-Man and then go see Odyssey, and you wouldn't even have to change actors because they're all in the same movie.
Here's what they do is the theater just switches over, like it shows you Spider-Man and then it shows you Odyssey.
So I had a funny thing where when I was in Austin, the new season of Rick and Morty is coming out on HBO Max, not an ad. And I've been waiting for it to come to HBO Max where I didn't have to pay for it for whatever on Adult Swim or watch it on cable. Who can even do that these days? I didn't know, though, they weren't dumping it. They were doing it an episode at a time. So it was only like 3 episodes by the time I started watching it. So I watched 3 episodes, and then it autoplayed, because I had it on the background, and it autoplayed a different cartoon, and I don't remember what it was, another Adult Swim cartoon. But
How long did it take you to figure out it wasn't Rick and Morty?
I thought it was Rick and Morty trapped in a different cartoon universe for like 10 minutes. And then I realized it was a totally different cartoon. Something with like a bird and a round face or something. I'll look up the name of it. We'll look at the link there. So I literally was like laughing at myself.
Like this whole like long setup and you're just like waiting for Rick and Morty to like show up and for the story to like kick off.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was waiting for the premise of like when they realized, oh, Morty like put himself in this fake cartoon universe and is now is now catching up. So
Congratulations, Brittany. You just poisoned your own
I'm
training.
an idiot. All right, Ashley, who is going to be joining you at Spider-Man this weekend?
All right, I want to say a big shout out to Bryce Robertson and Motohead Matt. Thank you both so much for going to see the movie with me since Birdie's going to be busy, and for sponsoring this episode of our show at patreon.com/morningsomewhere and roosterteeth.com.
I will be medium-sized for the rest of the week. Just, I'm going to lock myself in
straight
scale.
medium.
All right, that does it for us today, July 29th, 2026. We will be back talking to you tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.